Good morning, everybody, or good day, depending on what part of the world you're in. Good to see you. Little Apollo will join us in a second. I'm just getting set up here. I took Apollo on a walk, and he was just enjoying the scenery. He had to smell everything, take his time. It's very important to get that second walk in. Those of you that have pet owners understand what I'm saying. So he was taking his time, but I had to let him do everything that he needed to do. So let's focus now really quickly on connecting with Source, and then I'll get started and introduce myself. So take a moment, just take a nice deep breath. If it's been a busy day or if it's just beginning, it doesn't matter. Just connect for a moment with yourself, your energy, source energy as well. I like to imagine a single ray of sunshine shining down on me, brightening up my energy. And let's just ask today that the divine, whatever you call it, comes through and protects us, allows us again to connect to the highest good. And let's also ask for archangelic protection, Michael, Uriel, Gabriel, Raphael, helping us connect to Source, helping us heal ourselves, and helping us recognize the signs as they come. All right. Let me put this in the background, and we'll begin. Want to say hi to the public, Apollo? Now that you got your walk and your second meal here. So my name is Nicholas Ashbaugh. This little furry guy is what delayed us today. This is Apollo, my little friend and our co-host today. So welcome to your monthly reading. We're going to take a look at all of the energy coming through for the next 6 to 8 weeks. I always like to begin it with some channeled messages and then the Celtic Cross. And there's a lot of other pieces that we'll get to, as you can see there. I'm going to keep the graphic off for a second so you can see little fuzzy Apollo. And then we'll begin here. Thank you, buddy. Okay. So welcome, everyone. Good to see you. We're going to get into the channel messages, and then I'll put a poll up maybe after that. And when I forgot to get my tea, so I'll do that at the break point, and then you can have a vote on the cards. You can also, if you're watching live, throw out some ideas for some decks. I think what I might do today, though, I'm kind of drawn to the Little Prince deck because the totem today is a rose, and the rose is everywhere on that deck. So if I can find it, I'll throw that in for consideration, and I haven't used it in a while. Okay, and then also like Wild Unknown has a lot of roses, so I'll try to pick rose or plant or animal heavy decks, and then you guys can choose from that. Okay, let's get started. Before I do that, if you like what you see here, hit the subscribe button. I'm going to be starting some different types of videos over the next month where I'm also introducing some shorter length ones. The long ones are staying, but in order for the channel to continue to grow and also to kind of listen to what you're asking for. Many of you want shorter videos because you're busy and because attention spans are not what they used to be. So I'll make sure that I'm kind of trying some different things that gives me a chance to expand as a creator. So like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on those types of videos. Also follow me on social media platforms for updates and reminders of when I go live. Please be mindful that I do not send messages. There's actually someone on TikTok now doing that. Last week it was Instagram. So I don't use messages, I don't send friend invites, and I don't offer products or services through either of those two things. And I also don't do private readings. So I say that frequently so that you know when one of these things happens. That's not Nicholas. If you want to show love and support, you can do it here in real time. So thank you very much if you choose to give super thanks, super stickers, or become a member. It helps the growth of the channel, and it's good to see the same faces whenever you guys show up. I appreciate it. And that's it. Let's get started. We got a lot to talk about today. Your channel message again this morning is really centering around the rose, which is a beautiful metaphor for love, for sometimes making difficult decisions, pruning things out of your life, etc. Let's get the presentation set up and we'll discuss. All right, so here we go. Again, we'll be talking about the rose today. When I was doing some research, I was reminded that although modern roses really don't have that staying power, that a lot of them will only live 5 to 10 years, some of the older varieties, more natural varieties, can live much longer. There's a particular rose bush, and it probably is sort of like even the siblings of the original bush, but it's been around for 1,000 years, and it's in Germany on a cathedral wall. It even survived the bombings of World War II, which I think is beautiful. And the rose itself goes back in fossil history about 35 million years, so it's definitely been around this planet for a while. Interestingly, there are two major arcana cards that come to mind that use the rose. One is Death and one is the Fool. We'll talk about Death first. The Death card is often misunderstood. It should not be feared. Basically, Death is a chance for renewal, for transformation. And on the card, we see the banner with the white rose, and then right there, sorry, I got to point this way. Then we see the rising sun as well. So even in the wake of massive changes, sometimes loss, sometimes transformation that can feel a little off-putting, we have a new day dawning. And the next card takes place in that day, even though in the major arcana they're kind of off a little bit. But we now have the Fool carrying what? A white rose. And he's now in that new day that we saw in the background. The interesting thing before we move on to the Fool card is that nobody is free of the energy of transformation. So on the Death card, you will see a king, you will see the Pope, you will see rich and poor. So basically, everybody has to go through the cycle of life and death, but in that cycle of life and death, there's a lot of mini changes, many sort of reincarnations and transformations that happen. And so you don't have to go through that one big cycle to sort of go to the next level. In each lifetime, we get a chance to reinvent ourselves. So I like to look at the transformation card or the Death card as a chance for a big shift. And so where are you feeling like you need to make that big shift? That's what this is really asking you right now, okay? The Fool card is how you can really take the energy of transformation and do something great with it. So the Fool carries with him the same white rose. He walks into a bright new day, and he focuses on what can or may be rather than what was or what didn't happen. Always focusing on potential, which I think is really powerful. And sometimes I would say the Fool should plan a little bit more, but what's good about this is he's not sort of weighed down by expectation or by disappointment. So there's a lot of power in that, right? Love and nurturing. Okay, so the rose is sort of amazingly connected now because of modern invented holidays like Valentine's Day with love. But it is kind of a complex symbol. And when you look at it at kind of like what it requires, it's a lot of work. Modern rose bushes require pruning. They're very prone to get pests like aphids and other sort of diseases. You got to put a lot of time and energy into nurturing them. My mom had some when I was growing up, and her father had some, and I remember them always out there pruning them, putting sometimes natural things like ladybug larvae and stuff like that to try to help. And in the past, pesticides, glad we moved past that. But there was a lot of work that had to be done to sort of like keep them healthy. It reminds us that in a relationship, there's that same sort of nurturing and work. It's not always easy. You're there to help each other. Also interesting, we're going to talk about the pricklies on them in a second, and I guess that's the technical term if you're a botanist. That's also a piece there that roses aren't all beautiful. There is a lot beneath the surface there. So we need to look at the deeper energies here, but there's a lot to love this month. So we're going to be taking the roses and the thorns and figuring that out. When we look at blessings and blocks, it's kind of be like that, the rose and the thorn. So putting up defenses. So I was researching thorns, and I guess they're called prickles in botany, but basically they just make it easy for a rose to defend itself because it smells good, it tastes good, and this helps keep things like, deer and rabbits and other things a little bit further away because they're going to get agitated if they start to mess around with that. In tarot, this would be closely associated with the Seven of Wands, which is basically feeling like you need to protect yourself. But sometimes you need to figure out when to raise the drawbridge and when to lower it. And I think that's going to be the challenge this month, is figuring out trust and motives and opportunity when it comes to this sort of opening and closing. There's times where it makes sense to, take care of yourself. And I actually put that as the last bullet, looking at things like security systems, online security, having a good insurance policy. It's always good to protect and prevent, loss in those ways. But as I was talking about yesterday with Scorpio, I like to focus on what's possible, not on what is potentially going to go wrong. We put the insurance policy into effect, and you create a contingency plan, but you don't live in the fear. You start to build a bridge over that so that you can experience life and enjoy every day for what it has to offer. I think that for you, the biggest thing that I'm picking up on is this ability for expansion, but it does require release. So a lot of signs this month have been, in the channel messages anyway, tapping into some of the bigger major arcana cards like Death or the World or if we were to go to the minor, like Six of Swords, but it is like movement and release. For you, the World card is great. It's expansion, it's delivery of messages, it's exposure in a positive way, kind of like Six of Wands energy, acclaim and things of that nature. So point your compass towards new ventures, new people, new opportunities. Allow yourself to experience something that is different. Because it's like a diet. If you just eat the same thing every day, you grow used to it. It gets tiresome. You're not that kind of into it. But if you change something up, if you add a little spice, if you just sort of explore and expand your palate, you might be surprised at what you like. In Ayurveda, this helps soothe the heart and emotions, and it can help you letting go of past griefs. So I could also have featured judgment here, but I kind of wanted to focus on the World, which is the next step. Judgment is the doorway that allows us to go to the World card. But judgment is past life. It is rising above, which we kind of already covered, which is why I really wanted to kind of get to the point, which is the World card. So expand horizons, release the past, focus on possibilities. And that's basically what we're going to be doing together here in just a few moments. All right, so let's take a look and see if you suggested any decks here. I don't think there are that many. So I'm going to go ahead and put the ones that came to mind, and I might do a more limited sort of like a top three, because I kind of only have 2 or 3 that I'm thinking about. So let me just open up a tab here and get the poll started. Like I said, I think I'll show them in a second. I think the Little Prince is really nicely matched for the Rose today, but we'll put the Little Prince. I also think Wild Unknown, because it has a decent amount of roses in it, actually. And I'll put a traditional deck or 2 here too. Maybe just, let's see. Trying to think if there's any other ones that have roses. Not so much. Actually, Prisma Visions has some interesting viney things. So Prisma Visions, and then I'll just do a standard Rider-Waite-Smith deck like Modern Witch, which is still cool. All right, so there's some options for you. Take a moment. I'm going to grab my tea, and when I come back, let's decide what we're going to look at. By the way, if you've not seen the Little Prince deck, I don't think it's going to show up on here, but there are a few cards that I think the Moon deck or the Moon card has it, the Three of Swords, but yeah, you'll see there's a lot of different roses in this particular deck. So it feels well suited for today, but this is one of them. All right, give me a second. I'm going to get my drink and we'll be right back. And Paul will keep you company. All right, thank you for letting me do that. It's important to stay hydrated when I'm doing these longer readings. And let's see what's in the lead. Yeah, the Little Prince. Okay. I wanted to give you a choice. So we've got like 50%, so I think that's great. Thank you, by the way, for anyone who has given some super stickers. I already see we have some there. Appreciate it. I will say thank you at the end. I like to kind of save that until the end just for pacing. So here we go. Let me zoom in so we can see what's on the table. And let's begin, everyone. Good to see you. Welcome. If you just joined, we're going to be looking at the Celtic Cross. The Celtic Cross spans the next 6 to 8 weeks. And I have complimentary readings to help you with like what's happening in the moment, because we're looking at this a little bit in advance. Let me take my watch off so we're not distracted. So I do a daily read every day on YouTube in the shorts, and also on other social media platforms. I'll post it. And then I also do a weekly forecast, and I'll be doing some other shorter ones too. So take a look at the main channel page if you want to see what's going on here and now. All right, let's focus. Sagittarius, next 6 to 8 weeks. There we've got the Fool. New beginnings. Like I said, the rose is in almost every card in this deck, so I think it was the only choice really for today. We've got 2 together here. Apollo is begging for a snack. We may have to give him a little snack. All right, so let's finish pulling the cards and then I'll grab him a snack. Today he was definitely in spirited form. He decided to make the walk a little longer. He's aware of when I have a schedule and when I have things to do. He's like, I don't quite want you to go back to work yet, Dad. For any of you that have pets, you know, they know your schedule, they know what's going on. He was sniffing lethargically and kind of walking along and moseying. Oh, we'll give him a snack. Let me just finish pulling the cards here. He actually seems to be settling into his bed. If he settles in, we'll be okay. He's already eaten a couple times this morning. Dogs know exactly how to kind of like play all of your energy. I like that we're getting the bee, the pollinator, coming through for wealth. That's a very positive sign for you. All right, let's give Apollo a little scratch as he's making a production behind us. Hey, buddy, what's going on? Got all these toys here. Chill out a little bit, all right? I know, it's so hard. It's so hard. All right. We'll see how he fares. If he comes back sniffing around, I'll give him a snack. He seems to be okay. I think he's just trying to get some attention in the background, which is A-okay. That's what dogs do. All right, let's focus on your catalyst card today. We've got, or for this month, I should say, we have the universal energy of divine feminine and nurturing, and specifically the mother. I love that there's a pearl at the center of this. It's basically showing us that no matter what we're going through, there's something beautiful to be had in the end. Thinking of the, what is it? I always get confused. It's the oyster, right? But basically a filter feeder, all this water goes through it. There's a little agitated grain of sand or dirt that gets settled in there, and then all of this beautiful stuff aggregates around it that creates the pearl. So much like the lotus, it has to go through the muck. It has to go through all this stuff in order to create something beautiful. The work that you've done, the experiences that you've had, some have been very good, some have been maybe not as pleasant. All of them are creating that pearl there, pearl of wisdom, pearl of experience, and that beautiful shining self there, that higher self that wants to come through. So take time to take care of yourself. Some of you may have had a mother that just wasn't capable of doing that, or maybe like me, your mom has moved on to spirit, and in the absence of the energy, you still have to take care of yourself. And if you had a great mother, I had a great mom, you carry on some of their traditions and then and do some of the things for yourself that they would do for you. There's that energy as well. I think the other thing that I'm seeing here is a chance and it's sort of like some of you need an excuse, but for me, it's permission and encouragement, I would say, for you to do something that you want to do. Have some fun, take a class. Self-care of any nature is a very good thing. This is really a chance for you to, to just be your own best advocate. So take care of yourself. Some of you may be called to be a mother or father. So the maternal-paternal instinct is kicking in. This can take different forms. It's not always about having a child. This could also be about mentorship or giving back to the next generation or doing some outreach sort of work. But definitely nurturing yourself and nurturing others is the first message that we receive here today. This is also a very good developmental card. So if you're sitting on an idea, that pearl can represent any ace that you'd want it to, but probably an ace of pentacles. So what are you going to do with that ace? That would be my question here. Okay, let's move into the And the answer is, I'm going to do something with it. But I should actually say, like, when are you going to do something with that ace that is kind of presenting itself? All right, let's get this centered a little bit more. I'm going to have to later on adjust my camera because it seems to be slipping a bit here. There we go. Okay, that's better. We'll fix it later. Good enough for now. Okay, so at the center here, we have the Seven of Cups. And this can be distraction. A lot of times what happens with the Seven of Cups is we get distracted by all the things that are going on. Apollo, to his credit, now see, he's great. He didn't need the snack. He's just, he wanted the snack, but he didn't need the snack. In this new neighborhood, I've noticed walks are taking like double or triple the time because he's really sniffing and exploring and trying to take it all in. But he gets distracted, even when we take a walk, so that he can do what he needs to do. He's like, oh, look at this, look at that, shiny things. Another dog is squeaking a toy in the background or something. So what happens with us as human beings, we're very similar. We can get very distracted by new surroundings, different things that other people are working on. And I think that the main thing that's going to be a challenge for you, it's an opportunity and it's also a challenge, is how to stay present and how to stay connected to one thing at a time, and to also capture those little pearls of wisdom when they come through. I use my phone. I always have it in my pocket or nearby. And in fact, I'm going to put it in the charger as we're talking. But I would say you always have a chance to, you can dictate it, you can tap something in there, you can be old school and scribble it in a notebook. But the main thing is to capture and then continue what you were working on. Make sure that you get the task done, okay? And I think that's key. We're going to see things start to move more quickly. We see the old-fashioned airplane in the background. So the sooner you can complete or attach to one thing, the sooner you can move on to the next thing. There's a lot to get done, and focus is going to be the most important thing, okay? Crossing this, we have the Four of Wands, which is a reminder that you're not alone. And so this month in particular, lean into the friendships and the business connections and the people that you trust the most, because this is a good foundational card. So with the Four of Wands, it's like best friend energy, or someone that it's like family, best friend, or someone that you really feel like they have your back. It's also a great card for love. So some of you might be thinking about what it is that you want in love, and the sooner you can decide, the sooner it can show up. The universe is kind of waiting for you to issue your prototype, your call. And the interesting thing is, if we simply say, I want to find someone, that is way too generic. If you want to find a job, a lover, an opportunity, but you're not specifying, I want to find a partner that's available, that's done the work, that's really on an even energetic realm as me. Yeah, all of those things are going to make the partner possibly come a little bit later than planned, because you could just go out on the street and meet someone and connect with them. But we want to be discerning. And so the Seven of Cups is say, let's be picky enough, but not too picky. Kind of like the drawbridge metaphor. You're going to have to get it in exactly the right position, and then the universe can come rushing in. So I would say just enough definition to it so that you know that you're protecting yourself and you're opening yourself up to the best. Because otherwise, it's like Vegas, and you're just pulling the slot machine and hoping for the best. We don't want to do that when we're manifesting. We want to put some key tenets in place so that we're manifesting the best possible outcome for the highest good. And we're willing to sift and wait through, so that we don't have to kind of experience some of those pitfalls. So there you go. Doesn't always mean that it has to take longer, because you could actually manifest a wait, and we don't need that. Just manifest that you want to get the highest possible match and put that out there and then release it. I see a chance that a friendship could also develop into something more. Or you could be looking at someone in your circle of friends too, that all of a sudden, because of circumstance or time or just a different light, you're looking at them like the Fool in that new energy of a new day, and you're like, maybe this is something different, maybe this is something more. But I definitely see partnership playing a key role. This is very close to what I was seeing for Scorpio, actually. There was a lot of love and people. So yours at the center shows that the thing that could be holding back some of the abundance that I was seeing in that sign from so many people is that you're starting to clarify or starting to get pickier. And that's a good thing, actually. It's good to be picky. It's good to be clear. Clear is a better word than picky. So I would say be clear and be decisive and be open to receiving even something better than that. Always put a room in there for an upgrade. All right, in the deep past, we have the Two of Pentacles. It's reversed. Two of Pentacles is saying the sooner you focus on one thing, the better. I always see the Two of Pentacles as two aces, but the plane isn't going anywhere. What happens with Two of Pentacles is we get stretched. So in many decks, including Rider-Waite-Smith, we see someone balancing two energies, and they're kind of teeter-tottering. So sometimes they're on like a bike, and you kind of see them a unicycle, is that what it's called? Sometimes you see them on a tightrope. Sometimes it's just showing the balance of two elements. So something's out of balance because potentially you're giving more energy than you should to one thing. And I always like to remind folks, if you're doing a good job in life, you can't make everybody happy all the time. There are brief instances where everyone's pleased, but mostly there's always going to be a little bit of friction because you're energetically in a different place than someone else. Part of your goal in life may be to shift the consciousness, which means sometimes you're at the beginning breaking the water. And so there's people on either side that may not like what you're doing. So don't focus so much on pleasing everyone. Focus on where you feel the best investment. And then once you've done that, that plane's going to take off. You've got the ace. Things are going to feel fantastic. So step one in today's reading was to focus on clarifying what is it that I want, what do I stand for, what am I trying to create, who can I depend upon, and then I'm going to let one of these things go, or I'm going to delegate this, or I'm just going to focus here because that's what I want to do. Your clarity and your decisiveness is going to be so really important, okay? Now we have the Two of Wands. When you let go of trying to do everything for everyone, then things start to happen. I love the Two of Wands almost as much as the High Priestess because you need both of them. And the Two of Wands has a crystal ball typically in it. And it's basically about seeing the possibilities. So the best thing that you can do to kick off this month is to start to think about what is it that I stand for? What is it that I want to see progress in? Where haven't I seen it? What can I do about that? It's a very proactive card. Let's pull up the original one here in the Rider-Waite-Smith deck because you'll see, I think it's a globe. Yeah, it's a globe here. In some decks, you'll see a crystal ball, but it's the same general message. You got the world in your hands. Look at the rose on this one. There we go. There was a reason that I needed to pull that as well. So yeah, it's a rose. Fantastic. Okay. I even forget sometimes because I rarely read with Rider-Waite-Smith anymore. I always keep it to the side for a reference, but yeah. So things take time, and what we just talked about at the beginning actually files into this one, which is you may need to prune some things out. That's why we got the Two of Pentacles first. Something needs to be eliminated or released, and then you need to put the energy into nurturing that and keep an eye on that. The Two of Wands is powerful because we always have the potential to look at the macro-micro sort of connection here. Here's the world at large, and here's a very close-up of it. So as long as you keep your goal in sight and see where you're tracking, good things will happen. Okay? People may also be asking you, where do you stand? So the reversal of this can also be an inquisitive sort of question. What do you want? Be prepared for that, by the way. So maybe you're in a career situation where, your manager or a boss comes to you and says, what is the next step in your trajectory that you see yourself? Or you're in an interview and they say, where do you see yourself? Or even a first date, because first dates sometimes feel like interviews, right? Someone will say like, how long was your last relationship? What do you do for a living? And then they may say, well, what are you looking for in a relationship? So just be prepared. You don't have to have it like fully fleshed out, but just enough so that okay, this is roughly what I'm trying to accomplish. So if someone asks me, I can talk about it. I can work my way through that. If you really want to be powerful and you're serious about making something happen, get your elevator pitch ready. So when somebody comes to you for a project, for a career, for life in general, and they say, what do you do for a living? Or what are you trying to do? You can say it in a couple of sentences. I often talk about my own sort of focus, and mine is to raise collective consciousness, start intelligent conversations about spirituality, and to demystify and destigmatize all of the aforementioned. But it's basically raise collective consciousness, like 3 words I could put it into. All the other things file underneath. And I do it in as many different mediums as I need to, whether it's, in the future, perhaps podcasts or radio or TV or YouTube, however I can get a message out there, that's fine, as long as it gels with that overarching message. So that is easy then. People know what you stand for and how to work with you. In a relationship, you could be very clear. You could say, I'm looking to settle down. I see myself with a family. I see whatever it is that you see for yourself. Or you can say, I don't. I see myself wanting a relationship, but no family. Whatever it is that you want, put it out there so the person knows and they know how to show up. And that's basically how you can get very powerful. Now, first date may be a lot to kind of be putting all of this out there. Interviews, however, awkwardly enough, we do have to do all of this stuff. It's like everything all at once. You're rushing 2 or 3 things together and trying to make the best impact possible. So just be ready, because I see you having that chance to define or explain or perhaps even pitch something, and you need to be prepared for that. Okay? All right. We have the 10 of Wands, and it's reversed, and it's in the it's in the crowning position here. And notice, by the way, we've got a lot of snakes in this deck. The snake I see is a power symbol, so it's in the 2 of Wands, which I would expect. It's also here in the 10 of Wands, but we see it right around his feet. So let's take a closer look at this card. So you could be in the throes of success and finishing something, and meanwhile, someone else could be trying to pull you back or hold you down, and the 10 of Wands actually can be a card where someone abuses power, situation, opportunity, even just like a relationship, like their connection to you, and they've asked a favor one too many times, or they're pushing you to do something that they know you don't want to do. So you're going to stand your ground and not get tripped up in that abusive power. The reversal of this for you is a little bit more positive, and it's basically saying you're very close to completion. You want to stay focused on, again, what it is you're trying to do. Delegate, release, let go a little bit of some of the stuff that you've been holding on to, because leaders typically will champion and surround themselves by other leaders. So a very good leader leads leaders. So you want to be able to delegate and trust people around you to do this, so that you can be freed up to what? Do the big picture stuff, which we just looked at here. So the more free time you have, the more ability you have to get a bird's eye view, the more you can come up with something new, the more you can have that sort of epiphany or aha moment, which is what we're trying to allow you to do. So there we go with that. That's basically what I'm picking up on there, is that there's a chance to sort of shift the focus and go a little bit bigger and not get so tied up in someone else's business or getting forced to do something you don't want to do. You're beyond that at this point, right? And the next step is into the unknown. So we have the Fool here. The Fool was reversed. In this particular deck, we see the Rose right underneath that cliff, and it's really about opportunities in the future. This is kind of interesting because we're looking at all of the crows, we could say, crows, ravens. I almost thought for a second the bats. So listen to the messages that are incoming. Normally, you would see that with the dog. The dog represents loyalty, also usually tugging at the pant leg of the Fool, saying, slow down, make sure you look before you leap. So there could be some helpful advice and some constructive criticism and feedback that's incoming. You get to decide how much to listen to. You don't want it to hold you back from taking that leap, but it can inform you how to best take the leap and be successful and have a smooth landing. And that's what I'm kind of picking up on here. But it is focusing on potential, the new day, that bright sun behind him. This is where the power and the energy of this month is coming through, okay? There's too many birds in this particular card, so you can't listen to everyone. And I guess that's a message I keep getting for you, is to focus on what you need, what you believe, what you know, and to pay attention to the landscape, read the room, and know what's going on, but know also a part of what's going to make you special and you successful is to maintain your integrity, your personality, your special flair, okay? So don't lose touch with that just in an effort to try to make all of those birds around you happy. All right, so let's focus now on how you're showing up. So we have the Moon card here. Moon card is reversed. Moon card is asking us to look at things that are either our deep fears or deep passions. Also, it's an intuitive development card. Beautiful illustration here. Again, this is the deck if we're going to talk about roses. So the interesting thing with this rose is it reminds me of kind of like Beauty and the Beast. And it's almost like that rose is being trapped. And I think for some of you, there could be a fear of looking at something different or something new because you feel trapped. You feel like I understand this, I know this, I feel safe here. If I do that, it's a big question mark, right? So you're breaking free, breaking out of this sort of, it's almost like a self-imposed, I want to use a better word, I would just say a self-imposed environment. So you don't have to stay there if you don't want to. And it's really about getting ready to explore and go beyond. Also, the moon is a very inhospitable environment. I normally wouldn't think about that, but I'm looking at that with the illustration. So is your environment allowing you to thrive? That was something I had to just go through. So if it isn't, change it up. It could be a matter of fresh coat of paint. It could be moving some things around. It could be more symbolic of, if it's a relationship, a job, or a house, needing to go from one to another, like get out of that. So do what you need to thrive. Pay attention to the subtle intuition that's coming through. Always embrace those dreams. Pay attention to the fears because they're there to protect us and to help us resolve old karma and to become stronger. So fears have a purpose in our life, but it's not something that you succumb to. It's like, all right, I feel that, I'm afraid of that, but what am I really afraid of? What can I do to educate myself and prepare myself so that that's not a barrier anymore? It's more like a blinking light saying, pay attention to this rather than avoid it. And that's kind of like the reverse of what we're taught to do when we look at fears. So there you go. There were two cards that stuck together as I'm looking at environmental influences for you. The Page of Swords, which is really focusing on the ear chakra, saying listen. And then we have the Magician, which was a card that I pulled for today's daily read, which is reminding you that you are powerful, and if you believe in yourself and if you stay focused, others will believe in you too. If you lose your faith or lose your focus, that's when things fall apart. Let's look at this card first and look at it a little deeper because it was the subtle or hidden card. So literally this page, and I love it because most pages don't do this, he's or she's putting they're putting their hand behind their ear and saying like, how do I feel about that? They could be fixing their hair, but I like the idea that they're putting their hand behind their ear. And either they're saying, I don't want to hear it, or I need to listen. So your listening skills are important right now. And maybe the person that you're talking to is showing you that they're not listening. So nonverbal cues, whether something's breaking down in the communication cycle, and this is in the environment. So different ways that you can approach this are to change up the way that you're talking, how much you're talking, when you're talking, and also how much you're listening. And ask questions. I find like that's a really good way to see if the information is getting through. Not just saying, do you have any questions, but saying, so tell me, what do you think about that? You can put someone on the spot if you like, but really, like I talked about this and this, what do you think and where do you stand? And do you have any research on this? Like really engage them. And maybe start by saying, you've always been good at this. I need some help with this. Can I ask you a question? Rather than just putting it out there. Let them know why you're coming to them, what you need, and why you respect their opinion. And then they're more engaged because you've boosted their ego, you've focused their attention, you've told them what they need to do. So I would say in a conversation, make sure that you are setting expectations and boundaries and engaging the other person. And if they're not doing the same for you, provided that there is equal opportunity to speak, you could just say, I need you to slow down. There's a lot that I'm taking in, or I have some questions, or I don't agree with everything being said. When can I ask or speak up and ask some questions? Because it's hard for me to focus while I'm fixated on this. Interrupt once and let them know that there's an issue. You don't want to keep interrupting because that's rude, but let them know, like, I have some questions. Can we talk about it at the end? And then listen. And then ask them to do the same. You've got to listen first, then they need to listen to you. And if they don't return the favor, that's also a red flag. So listening is going to be really, really important. And unfortunately in schools, it's not something we're taught that much. We're taught how to speak, we're taught how to write, but we're not really taught how to listen and how to ask questions. Unless you go to there are different, if you focus on like journalism or something like that, that there are different paths where that's out there, but not most careers and most sort of schools don't teach active listening. So it's something we have to pick up on our own and kind of get better with. So think about how you could work on that skill a little bit. And then, like I said, with the Magician, staying focused and believing in yourself. Those were the highlights from today's one card pull. I would say we could take it a step further with this one because when I was looking at the Dali deck, we saw the the sort of time as an element, so not being rushed was an element. With this one, we see the thorns around the Ace of Cups, and we see the snake around the Ace of Wands. So relationships, people that you really love, your friends, your family, or a coworker that you trust, someone could complicate an interaction because of the connection that they have with you. So again, it kind of goes back to the Ten of Wands in reverse. Someone could be trying to use or abuse or lean into your relationship with them so they can get something that they want. Your power, we've got the snake around the wand here, is to push back, is to clarify boundaries and to let them know that you care about them, but that this isn't something that you stand for or believe in if you don't want to do it. And it's that easy. Say, we're friends, but I don't want to do that. And just be firm in your statement, but say, why don't we talk about something else? Or this is a topic that's dead. We're going to move on to the next thing. The firmer you are in that, the better it's going to be, especially if it's not right or not connecting on a heart level for you, okay? And that's everything I have to say about the environment. All right, let's focus on hopes, fears, and opportunities. We have the Three of Wands. So all of the work that you did over here to clarify, to call things in, is paying off. And the Three of Wands is what I would want to see in a manifestation spread. Hopefully we'll see the High Priestess at some point too. I kind of did pull her at the beginning when I was showing you the deck, so I know she's in the energy. She was at the bottom of the deck. But I've shuffled it since, so I don't know where she's at now. But I know that energy of manifestation was all throughout this deck here. So focusing now on seeing what's possible and saying, okay, let's make this happen. We see here in front of him a fire and some food, and he's cleaning things up. So I joke that I like to see an active Three of Wands. This Three of Wands may be too active. I don't want him to be distracted, because the thing with the Three of Wands is you want to be looking in all directions. We could argue that he's cleaning things up and he's finding things. This is something that I discovered in my move. I'm like, oh, look at that. Oh, that's where that was, because it had been pushed away in storage or something. So that part I like, going through and kind of doing an audit, going and cleaning your closet and finding an outfit that you forgot you purchased with the tags on it, or looking through your files and finding something that you've been looking for years. So that's great. But I think Three of Wands is more about understanding that what you seek is happening now. All you have to do is get focused, because we have the Magician right in the cards underneath this. So don't get distracted. He looks a little distracted. Don't focus on too much on the small stuff. Look big picture, because what it is that you seek is happening already, and all you have to do is engage with it, okay? So that's the main message for opportunity, is it's already there. And now as we look at your outcome card, this is one of my favorite Eight of Wands, because it's one of the few that shows community. The card came through reverse, but let's look at it upright. We see everybody gathered round, and they're all lighting the lantern together. And usually in the Eight of Wands, you will see basically just rockets flying in the air, or the wands flying in the air. You very rarely see people attached to those wands, but indeed, there are people. It takes a village to get something done, so don't be afraid to reach out and ask for help. Some of you may be needing that extra assistance, and this card is validating, yes, it's okay, let's connect with that. The other thing here is you may be feeling lost in the shuffle, because sometimes when something that you've been working on or creating takes on a life of its own, it's almost like, this is true of anything. Like, it can even be a family situation. If you've been working hard, you have a big family, sometimes you just feel like it's a machine, right? It's moving, but where am I in this? So some of you are just figuring out how to be the lantern amidst all of these torches. So that's something that you can figure out. And I think it's really about going back to your core beliefs and desires and passions and letting those shine through. There's room for many lights, and different times people are going to shine. This is your chance to shine if you want to. And you can still get everything done, and you can still work with everyone else there, okay? Eight of Wands if we just go to a traditional read of it, it's a really productive card. So one of the things that you can focus on right now is setting things into motion and just trusting without fear that momentum will continue. With Eight of Wands, I'm not worried. With Eight of Cups, it's sporadic. There could be weeks, days, or months between a return on the energy that you're putting out there. So like for a business, it would be a customer that they come when they feel like it. Whereas the Eight of Wands would twice a year, a biannual sort of checkup. So you know that every 6 weeks or every 6 months or once a year, it's like clockwork. So I like the Eight of Wands in that respect. There's a predictability to it. But sometimes there's so much going on that you can feel lost. And especially if there's a lot of other talented or noisy voices around you, just remember to find your shine and remember you're a part of something great too. You're not lost, you're contributing to it, and your voice counts too. All right, let's expand this forecast. We're going to look at health, wealth, love, and destiny next. Each one of these is going to have many different components to it, and I'll do my best to basically pull all the threads together, okay? If you just joined, hit that like and subscribe. We're really close to a milestone, and I'll do a Q&A once we get there, and you can also join me on social. All right, thank you in advance to anybody that's given back. I'll say thank you at the end individually. Let's focus on health first. I always like to disclaim this. I'm looking at energy. If there's anything going on in mental health or physical health, of course, you should work with the appropriate professional. But looking at energy and opportunities here, we have the bat spirit, which is the hanged man, basically, in tarot. And it says, a rebirth is assured. So one of the coolest things when you study the mythology of the hanged man is that it's a card of knowledge. And it's a card of knowledge through time, through sacrifice, through patience. And so if you've put in the time, if you've been patient, if you feel like some days you've been just waiting and waiting and waiting, we do see a payoff coming through here. And soon, the hanged man is upright, so it tells me that it's around the corner. And we see this bat getting ready to take off. The bats listen. They listen. It's another sort of active listening skill. So I want you to listen to your intuition, tune into the signs and signals that are all around you. Listen to what other people are saying too, because that'll help you pick the timing to launch, release, or get out there and do what you want to do, or say what you need to say. Your ear and your third eye are going to help you figure that out. Now, looking specifically at your health, with this, you might want to pay attention if you're having some trouble hearing. Take a trip to the ENT or audiologist or whatever and just get everything checked out. It's something that we need to do as we get older. And also check your eyes because bats, they can see, but they listen more, and their eyes are kind of highly attuned. So to night vision, not so much, but they're mostly listening with sonar. So you could, like me, need a new pair of glasses, or there could be some hearing issues, and you'll take a listen and take a look at that. But the bigger thing for this is it's all about timing. So what's healthiest for you and what's best for you carries with it a very sort of special cosmic timing. And if you listen to the cues, they won't lead you astray. Okay, looking specifically at the cards for additional messages. 10 of Wands is a harbinger to the 10 of Swords, especially when it's reversed. It can say that you're lifting weight wrong or incorrectly, or carrying too much. It can even be something like an attaché, a briefcase, a purse, or there could be something in what your shoes, posture. So take a look at that. That's something a chiropractor can help you assess, if your spine is out of alignment, if there's something that needs to be done. So that's one thing. So looking at spinal health for sure. Getting out there and walking, again, with the approval of your doctor or health professional, but walking is generally seen as a very good activity. It's very low impact, and it has a lot of positive payoffs. So walking's good. I think that concentration and focus, as I said at the beginning, it could be one of the biggest challenges for you. This could be stress related. It could be diet related. Things like even like blood sugar and all kinds of things can affect our ability to focus. Alcohol consumption, caffeine consumption. So this is something you'll have to look at again. And I think this is something you'd have to assess with a doctor if you're having significant issues with focusing. Now, the other thing is there could just be too much on your plate. 10 of Wands reverse is someone who just feels overwhelmed, and the 7 of Cups is the inability to focus, because we kind of put ourselves in that sense of like, oh my God, and there's this, and then there's this, and now I'm behind on this. So you just want to raise your hand, speak up, and say, if you want to like own the power of it, say, there's a lot on my plate. This is what I feel like is the most important to focus on. I'm going to let these things go. I'm going to push this off. I'm going to delegate this. Does that sound good to you? Because that way you are being proactive. And if they say no, say, well, then I'm just going to focus on this, and I'm letting you know the other things probably won't get done. there comes a time and a place where, there is an impossible task in front of you, and sometimes you have to let people know that. Or an unreasonable, let's put it that way. It may not be impossible, but it's not healthy, it's not sustainable, and you get to raise your hand and speak up for that. I wish that as a younger person I spoke up more, but you tend to want and need the jobs more, so you do way too much work, but there's no reason that you have to work and not get paid, and I did that sometimes, and it's just not necessary. Your health is important, and there is an energetic exchange that has to happen. All right. Work-life balance in general. So if there are any balance issues, talk to your doctor. Maybe also make sure that you're not multitasking, because this can be losing your balance while you're trying to focus on this. I don't wear the reading computer glasses when I walk because I'll trip. So just make sure that you're wearing the right glasses, you're wearing the right shoes, you're focusing on the right thing at the right time, and not kind of getting distracted, because your key ambulatory cards are kind of reverse, and I don't want that. Let's see if there's anything else here that we need to focus on. Let's see. In the environment, again, I keep picking up on the ears, so just for whatever reason, some of you may need to just get your ears clean. There may be an ear infection, and it may just about be asking questions when your doctor is talking about something and making sure that you hear something correctly so that you get dosage right or instructions correct. By and large, your cards are pretty good, and I really like that we have a fresh start here for near future. We have positive manifestation in recent past and possibilities, and I see things going in the right direction. I think letting go of one or two things is going to help you succeed. You got a lot of people that want to help you or that can help you. Let go of some stuff. 8 of Wands is better than 10 of Wands reversed, even 8 of Wands reversed, because it's still allowing you to feel more productive and not feel overwhelmed. Wands you can always subtract, and it's still good. Almost every single card is still manageable, so you can always let go of stuff if you need to when we're looking at Wands. It's not the same in every suit, but Wands is cool that way. Okay, I think that's everything that we need to look at for health. Let's move on to your wealth card. At the very beginning, I highlighted that I saw the bee, and I really liked that it was a pollinator. And so with the bee, busy month, busy bee definitely connected to the 8 of Wands. And there is an organization that is necessary when we look at bees. I frequently will turn to that as a totem, and I think it was a totem for a sign this month. I can't remember which one. But with the bees, we see at least 3 maybe. There's the queen, there's the drones, there's the worker bees, and there might be one more level of bees. But basically, there's a hierarchy. There's a system in place. So for successful leadership and partnership, you're going to need to have organization. And the Hierophant gets a bad rap sometimes because it can feel like it's rigid and it's old school and it's conservative. But there are good things to be had about that sort of energy of organization. So I think that's one thing that you can lean into. And you may find yourself just really enjoying doing your own thing. The worker, I think it's the worker bees, the ones that go out and gather. They are female, and we have the divine feminine energy this month coming through. So developmental work is going to be really, really good for you. And it may be something that you need to do on your own. You're going to come back and forth to the hive, to the collective, but you need ample time to do this on your own, to let your mind be free, to explore opportunities, which we actually saw smack dab in the center. So you need to be able to dream. You can lean on 1 or 2 people to kind of flesh out the ideas and eventually bring that back to the queen, bring it back to the collective. But you need your time and space. That's the biggest thing that I'm picking up on. I love that it's a pollinator, which means that whatever you're working on has the potential for growth, has the potential to make things kind of go in the right direction around it. So you're onto something good. And you have very productive and very fertile and abundant energy with you right now, which I love. Okay? Bees are one of my favorite totems. My favorite sort of pollinator is a hummingbird, and I unfortunately can't hang one out in this window, but I have it in my adjacent room. That's my new favorite thing. I'll have to get a video once. I'm going to clean it up and put some fresh water in today, but I love hearing them buzz around out there. They're like dive bombers. There's 2 or 3 that like to show up all the time, but anyway, I love my little hummingbirds. But the bees are just as good. They are fast moving, they make things happen, and they're super organized. And there's none of the competition that there are with the with the hummingbirds. Let's look specifically at some messages with wealth when we're looking at the cards in front of you. Okay, so As I said earlier, I really want you to focus on the environment. Is it welcoming or is it inhospitable? Is it something where you just feel like this isn't conducive to me being my best self? If it is, it's time to move on. And we've got the Fool there validating that. You need your space. I talked about that. You're going to need to go between having your space and then going back into the group. So finding that happy medium, the balance is going to be key. Focus is also key. A partnership could help. Maybe you need someone like a project manager in a professional capacity, but elsewhere it could be a best friend, a mentor, someone that's just going to keep you accountable and focused, okay? And let go of some stuff. I feel like you're carrying too much, you're trying to do too much, so doing less but doing it better is going to help you out more than you can imagine. You have the power to make amazing things happen. You are the magician. It came through before I read the reading today because I do my dailies a day in advance. So I was already picking up on this for you. So you have that ability to really, it's kind of like a green thumb or the Midas touch. Everything goes where it needs to go and it's very positive. But it all comes through active listening, okay? Let's focus now on love and relationships. So we have discover your superpower, which I love. I think I've even put that as one of my topics for the weekend sometimes. Access 100% of your mojo. Very conversational card here. But what I like about it is I see three individuals here, or it's almost like this is God or the universe or one's higher self. This is the physical body, and this is the sort of subtle body tuning into the higher self or to God and the divine. So remember that you are in multiple places at the same time. We don't always think this way, do we? We're in the physical body. We have a subtle body that extends out our auric field, and that's helping us perceive around us. And then we have our higher self, which connects us to source. And then, of course, we have God beyond that. So we are connected on so many different levels that one of your superpowers is understanding that this isn't it. So if you're going through recovery, let's say you've got a broken leg or you're getting over a cold or something like that, you may feel weak in the physical, but you are strong in the metaphysical and in the sort of spiritual realm. So pull in some of that energy and healing and strength and help your physical catch up and help it mend. And realize that if someone's putting you down in the physical, that's not affecting your metaphysical self. You're more than the environment. You're more than this collection of molecules here. So I talked about this last weekend, I believe, which is let's not limit ourselves. Let's not let others limit ourselves. Let's kick the roof off the top of our sort of possibilities and just keep reaching and reaching and reaching, because we've only kind of like scratched the very beginning, the tip of the iceberg when it comes to potential. So we've got some partnership energy that's actually coming across to me as business and manifestation here. So you may be on the precipice of meeting someone that can help you expand into that world energy that I was talking about earlier. Bringing it back down into the traditional three types of relationships that I like to read. Someone sees you as greater than you see yourself, and they are a mirror and a lens to your possibilities. So if someone loves you and someone admires you and someone sees something possible with you, whether it's work or romantic or both, who are you to argue? That's a reflection from the universe. Someone sees your potential. Why not take that mirror and see if you can match it and see if you can become that? And I talk about, like, when I was a kid, a pivotal moment for me was when my dad got a job transfer and my parents moved me from the west to the east. But I was able to connect with people that were more encouraging. And because they were more encouraging, I became a better person. I wasn't bad before. I was just told that I wasn't going to succeed by teachers. And when I went into a new school, I was told that I was a great student and they were glad to have me. And I thought, well, I don't know what they're talking about, but I like it better, so let's give this a chance. And I excelled, and I was fine. So we are what we allow ourselves to be, and a lot of times if someone sees something good, it's a good thing, believe it. It may be the first time you've heard it. So what? I'm glad it came through now. I'm saying so what in a playful way, by the way. I'm not. So listen to it, embrace it, okay? Let's look at the different types of relationships. Those that are in a relationship we'll look at first, then looking for love and single and happy. So if you're in a relationship, I think that the biggest challenge right now is focus. You and or your partner may just be putting your time and energy on a dozen other things, because we have 7 of Cups and 8 of Wands. So busy mind, busy life. And that happens from time to time. There could be a partner that's traveling for business, work, or pleasure right now, and possibly without you. And so long distance energy is something to contend with as well. Maybe taking a trip to meet them would be good. There's also a need for freedom and distance, the busy bee, and the need to sort of like walk your own path and have your own space. A lot of basically distance coming through in current partnerships. So disconnected in the mind, disconnected in the space, or possibly traveling. That's the number one thing that I'm picking up on. If you're stationary, if nothing's wrong there, then what I'm seeing here is the thing that's causing the sort of like a little bit of the distance here is priorities and focus is off a little bit. 2 of Pentacles is distracting the 2 of Wands. So we need to pick one thing and then put it into action and put it into focus here. Getting back into the nurturing energy with the pearl. We just need that one pearl. We don't need a whole strand of them. We just need the one to really grow and develop. And that's how pearls develop. You don't pull the whole strand out of a clam. You see one at a time, right? All right, or an oyster rather. I always get the two confused. So anyway, moving forward here, let's see what else is going on here. There could be some juvenile or jovial energy coming through from the other partner. And if you're looking for a moment of maturity, that could be frustrating. I know that I had some relatives when I was a kid that always had to make a joke out of something. And when you're really serious, it's not funny anymore. My dad used to do that from time to time. And it was frustrating because you just wanted to talk about something serious. And there's a time and a place for a joke, but if you're being vulnerable or if you're talking about something significant, that's not cool. So don't make light of something, even if it's a defense mechanism that you go to, it's not going to sit well with the other person. See if there's anything else. Listen, which we've talked about to the point that I don't need to say it anymore. Ultimately, if you choose to make things work, they'll work. Because we have 3 of Wands and 8 of Wands. There's some work, there's some energy that needs to be done, and there's kind of like turning a new leaf. So if you want to turn a new leaf, you can. If you want to just go your own way, you can go your own way too. And it's kind of on that sort of energetic thread that I'm seeing things. It's either we're going to put in the work or I'm going to move into a different direction. Okay? If you're looking for love this month, let's see what we see. First of all, you can't fake it. I love the Magician card, but when it comes reversed, sometimes the timing or the chemistry is off. So if it's off, just be honest with yourself and be honest with the other person. Organic is the way that it will happen. The Fool card is saying you'd run into somebody. Yes, it's a good time if you want this to happen. I see a really nice kinship and friendship. For some of you, that's all there's going to be. But for some of you, this develops and melts into something more. That's what I was picking up on a little bit earlier, is that it may look good on paper, or you could probably talk until the cows come home. But when it comes to maybe connecting more on an intimate level, it may end at the friendship. So I do see a new meeting, but it's a question of, does it go beyond the platonic? And don't force it if it doesn't. It's okay. There'll be more. You have multiple options when that's happening here. So let go of that or see that for what it is, and then you can call in something more. Say yes to invitations. It's an organic meeting if you meet somebody. But honestly, we're not getting we see a court card here that's hidden under all of this. But I do feel like we're kind of leaning, if you're single, then it may be more about being single and happy no matter what, because the opportunity is for new horizons, for you to get a lot of work done, for you to be really productive as you're getting that work done, for you to get inspired and do other things that you hadn't even anticipated, for you to get over some of your fears and hang-ups. And all of these things then attract someone that's done the same. So I think that if you're partnered, you're focusing on how to bridge the gap between you and the other person. And if you're single, it's really about self-work. Even if you're single and looking, focus a little bit more on self this month. We could have a Scorpio coming in too with the moon, but I really feel like this month is more about you. And I will say that if I see it, and that's what I'm seeing here. Okay? And you got to believe and see that in yourself before you're ever going to pull in that ideal partner. Okay? Let's move into your destiny card. And destiny is something that I see as being in creation, in flow as we're speaking. So we have another divine feminine, lots of divine feminine energy here. And it is titled She Loves. It reminds me of, she loves me not. He loves me not. So kind of going back to what I said with the magician, it either is or it isn't. There are some things that we can't force when it comes to like chemistry. So with respect to that, it is or it isn't. And the main thing that I would say with this one is, I would just change the title here, which is to like be love. Be in that frequency of love. Love yourself. Love yourself enough to not need that other person to validate who you are and what's going on. And they'll naturally want to kind of be a part of your energy because you're just emanating love and you're not in that sort of, it is kind of like a clinging energy. So we want to move away from that. That's the only thing that I'm seeing with that. I actually see the daisy. She loves me not. So it's not worth it. By the time you're pulling daisies or pulling cards, it's probably to the point where there's someone better to focus on because that energy is not as compatible as it needs to be at this moment in time. Okay? That's what I see. All right, let's focus now on going into the big idea. Big idea is one thing that can help you be successful and connect with all the positive stuff that we've seen so far. All right, so let's take a look at the card and see what's coming through. And we have the lovely Nine of Wands here. Nine of Wands is a card of not giving up, perseverance, persistence, even a little bit of rebirth, rebounding. I love the Nine of Wands. Basically, you would normally see someone with a little bit of a Band-Aid. Sometimes it's on the forehead, sometimes it's on the arm. It's just saying like, I've been tossed through the ringer a few times, but I am a survivor and I'm here to get this finished. And he's looking up at the constellation, the North Star, and seeing that potential in the future, that new rose, that blossom. And all the thorns, all the prickles, or whatever they're called, they've been worth it. It's been worth it. And even as I look at the wands, it almost looks like they have thorns on them too. So stand your ground, don't give up, and push through to the next level. You've earned this opportunity in your life. And we do see it being all worth the while. So this is just a chance to double down on that clarity of I can, I will, and I am, that new mantra that I've kind of been putting out there. Okay, we're going to move on to blessings and blocks, or roses and thorns. Let me just take a quick drink here. Interestingly enough, I had the moon card for my mug today, and that came through for you. So very interesting. Okay. Blessings and blocks, they sound like what they are. Things that will help us, things that could potentially cause a delay. Sometimes they're in disguise. So we're going to see if things are as they really seem, because the moon card can sometimes show surprise elements like that. Blessing, the devil, the devil reversed, and the block is the Two of Cups. So as I said, they're in disguise or they're not what we expect them to be, which is why we do this. All right, if we're going to pull the devil card, I want to get it reversed because that is showing freedom. Freedom from limiting thoughts, freedom from something that doesn't serve your highest good, freedom from somebody that doesn't or can't give you what you need. Because a lot of times they're already promising their time and energy to someone else. So if you've met someone, this could also be part of the reason I'm saying focus on yourself. If you were to meet someone, one of the things that I would want to make sure is that they were available. That if there was an ex in the picture, that they are uncoupled and everything's clean and all of that is good and as clear as it can be. So the main thing this month is you should be able to see through facades. The devil reverse says, I see you and I see what you're trying to do, and it's not going to work. And that's how you do, basically how you say it, but you would say it in a higher energy, I would say. So for a contract, for instance, you could say, thank you for giving me time to review it. I have questions on this. This isn't what we discussed, or this is too limiting. So before I commit to this, we need to change this, this, and this. So you just put it out there. Like, I see this and it's not right. We need to fix it. And that's how you can get that devil card out of there and pull it into the lover's energy, because devil is just basically the lowest possible version of the lover's card. It's people doing self-serving stuff instead of unconditional love, basically. The other thing here is if someone's trying to abuse position, power, etc., you're not going to stand for it. And you, if you can, you're going to speak up too, because silence is being complicit, and being complicit is supporting. And so you may need to speak up so that other people know that there's a chance for change to happen here. So you know what you need to do. You know what people are trying to do. All you have to do is use your voice, use your words, and make the right decisions, okay? So the blessing is that you know what to do. The sort of like caveat to that, or the challenge with that, is that sometimes it's hard to do the right thing, right? Sometimes it's not the popular thing to do the right thing. But history tends to look more fairly upon people that have done the right thing rather than done the popular thing. So do the right thing. You know what to do. All right, the block this month could be, as I've been saying, either the distraction of a relationship or someone using something that you got kind of like your history together to better something for them. And these two cards work very nicely together. So this is someone that could love you, but they're misusing that love or affection. And so you're going to remind them firmly and kindly and very concisely, I love you, but no. That's it. You can use those words, I love you, but no. And if they keep saying, well, if you loved me, you would do this, I would say, if you loved me, you wouldn't force me to do it. So no, I still love you, but no. That's not right, or I don't stand behind that. The other thing is just not forcing it. If you don't feel something, again, this is like a date or a job or some opportunity, you owe the other person the benefit of knowing that you're not in. So the block could be they're very much into you, but you're not into them. There could be an unrequited sort of connection. I look at love and partnership in a much more broader spectrum. It's not just your person. This could be a loved one, it could be a coworker, it could be the person that you're with, but we're looking at something here where we need to be honest. So the way to clear these two cards, because they're very much working in concert this month for you, is to be transparent, to be honest, and to have boundaries. And if you have those three things in place, you're fine. You got to hold those boundaries, and that's the challenging piece. But if someone truly loves you, they're going to respect the boundaries. And that's my advice for those two cards. The good thing, though, is that I do feel like there is love and opportunity on the horizon. Just be discerning, be picky, and don't lose your focus on what matters most. Let's move on to viewers and readers' choice. And I feel like we got a lot of good things to talk about today when we're looking at this. So I'm glad we have a chance to vote on some things here. So let's turn the camera down and let's look at the cards and let's make some smart choices here. All right, let me get the poll ready. Okay, so that is a really important thing. I'm going to choose that for you. So I'm going to help you figure out the energy of the devil card. Whenever that comes through, I'll never avoid it. So I'm going to take a look at that. So that's the reader's choice. I'm going to give you some other things to focus on. So let's see what other things are calling us here. All right, at the center, how to find your focus. And stay there. I'll just put, how to find your focus is good enough. All right. Okay, this is interesting. When it comes to partnerships, I like finding the balance between space and communication. So partnership balance, and I'm going to put space to grow. That's how it's coming through. Because sometimes we need the space to grow, but we need to let our partner or our coworkers or the people around us know, I need a little space to explore this. But that doesn't mean that I'm not connected to you. So you're going to have to figure out how to negotiate that space to grow. Let me see what else is calling to me here as I look at these. Okay. So the other thing here is like delegation and I'm going to say like delegation and completion. But delegation and big picture, that's actually what I look at. Because I think that if you let go of something, it's going to give you a chance to look at that big picture. All right, you guys have some great choices, so go ahead and vote on those. While you're voting on those, I want to focus on everybody's not so favorite card, but a super important one. We're going to look at what this energy of the devil has to show us. What is it that we need to focus on for clearing up partnerships and for basically, finding your way to reclaiming power and still maintaining those relationships that matter. Page of Cups. All right, let me just see if I can pull this so I can see it. All right, so the Page of Cups. This is interesting. Again, it does boil down to using love is actually a great way to counter the devil. Unconditional love and being kind, because the devil is tricky and tries to abuse those things. And again, at its core, it has the energy of the lovers, but it's misusing it. So you kill him with kindness is what I see with this. So I think the important thing here would be to go about someone who's acting poorly and always assume that there could be something more to it. So I would begin it with a conversation around behavior, but saying, I've known you for a long time, and this is out of character for you. And it's a little bit disappointing, but I'm actually more concerned about you. Are you okay? Are you happy? Is there something that I can do to help you, because I don't understand why you're doing this? So you're letting them know it's not okay. You're letting them know you're concerned, and you're asking, why are you doing this? So you've basically used the glove of love to sort of like open up the door and say, we need to talk, but without saying we need to talk. I love you. I'm concerned about what's going on. This isn't like you. Help me understand how you ended up here and why we're having this conversation. If someone said that to me in those words and in that tone, I would be like, uh-oh. But yes, letting them maybe a little more compassion, just saying, I'm really concerned. Is everything okay? Start off with that, but then you can be firm, okay? It is about love at the end of the day. And especially if it's a child or someone who is going through a difficult time or whatever, they need more love. And we need to assume that I always like to look at the arc of redemption as being the ultimate goal, right? So even someone that's had a bad experience or done something that they shouldn't have done, there's always a chance to make better choices. And that should be what we'd be focusing on in general. That's the problem with the criminal justice system. We punish and we lock up rather than trying to help fix what caused the problem in the first place, which could be actually an environmental issue, and it's the person is actually reacting to that. So we need to kind of go to the source, to the root of the problem, because when I was studying that rose bush that is in Germany on that cathedral, again, there was a bombing, a lot of the rose was destroyed, some of it, I don't know if it was burned away or whatever, but the roots survived, and so new growth came through. If we don't fix the root of a problem, it just pops up again. And so that's really what this devil card is all about, is fixing the root of a problem. Okay? All right. Let's see what you've chosen for me. By a resounding 60% or more, it looks like how to find your focus. I can relate. That's something where a lot of times there's so many things in front of you and you think, what can I do today to be powerful, to be effective, to get things done? So let's take a look. Good question, everybody. All right, we have the Eight of Pentacles, the Eight of Pentacles in reverse. All right, so the Eight of Pentacles is actually one of the best cards that you could get for an energetic return. Well, 8 and 2, both pretty even on this, but it tells me that whatever you decide to put out there, you're going to get back. The Eight of Pentacles in reverse is saying, I'm doing something not necessarily because I want to, but because I have to. I'm maybe focusing so much on perfection or the details that I'm missing the absorption and the fun and the sort of like whole reason that I'm going through this. So slow down, first and foremost. For those of you that are in school or a student or you're taking a class or training, rather than rushing through it, I wish I told myself this, because I was a bit of a type A overachiever, contrary to what the early teachers told me. They were like, you'll never get through high school. So I went all the way through grad school just to prove them wrong. But I also graduated a semester early in both undergraduate and graduate. And it was good because it saved me money, it opened up opportunities, I got out into the work world faster, but I kind of wish I'd slowed down and just enjoyed the process a bit, because that's a part of our life that we can't recapture. And so have fun, really sit there, drink it all in. So if you have a moment to learn something, learn it completely and enjoy it. If you're doing something and you don't like it, why are you doing it? Is it because it's required, just something that you have to do to get a certification so you can do the next thing? Is it because you're being pressured to do it by parents, by teachers, by friends, by society? If you're being pressured, if you don't feel it, life is too precious. Time on this planet is too finite for you to waste it in an endeavor that isn't really bringing love and joy, sparking joy, right? So make sure you're connected, make sure you're taking your time, make sure you're enjoying. If you do that, then you will be focused, it will be easier, it will be a good investment for you. And getting back to the question, the big question here, which was how to find your focus. You could be bored, you could be distracted, you could be disengaged because it's not what you want. Because it's tedious. The Eight of Pentacles in reverse is tedious, whereas in the upright position, it's like, oh my God, this is so fascinating. I can't wait to read more. I can't wait to do more. Okay? So I think that my advice for you would just be to make sure that you are comfortable enough in just saying no to something if it's not connected to you on a heart and soul level, because yeah, it's just going to take longer. That's the main thing here. The other thing here is just get out of the weeds. Eight of Pentacles in reverse is saying you're way too focused on perfection or the small details, and you're forgetting why you're doing it. So if you're an artist, for instance, it's not about the technical perfection of the skill as much as it is on the effect that it has on the viewer. So we look at people like Van Gogh or Dali or whatever. They knew how to paint, but then they broke all the rules at the end. So knowing the rules and then figuring out when it's okay to kind of like let things be imperfect so that you can just have fun. I liked, when I was studying humanities, I love looking at impressionists and surrealist painters because you get to interpret things, because it's not just about the perfection. You can get lost in the pictures. So yeah, have a little bit of fun. Scribble outside of the lines a little bit. It's going to be okay. All right, we're going to move on now to the sun, the rising, and the moon messages. All of the readings that I do can be focused on any aspect of your chart, but I do like to take a closer look at these particular areas because I know that they resonate with all of us, myself included. So let's shuffle the cards and let's see what insights they have to yield in these areas. All right. Sun, rising, and moon. Let's start off with sun sign messages. We have the King of Cups. Look at all the roses on this particular King of Cups. I love that we have the prince, little prince, as the king, and the card is reversed. And what many of you may be going through this month, Sagittarius, could be the imposter syndrome, because we have a very young king, and I can only imagine what it was like back in the day when there was like a child emperor or a child king. It's a lot of pressure because you've been decreed through bloodline that you're ready for this, but the truth of the matter is you still have some growth to do to be able to grow into it. So what the universe is saying is, I see your potential. It's amazing. And I may throw you into something a little faster than you expected. Don't get overwhelmed. Don't worry. You're going to be okay. You've been set up for success, but be kind to yourself. Keep those limits, and remember, you can't make everyone happy. Nobody knows that better than a king card, king or a queen, because they're constantly going to be criticized, no matter how good they are, right? There's always somebody, always someone out there that thinks they could do better, that doesn't agree with something you did, that picks your worst moment and spotlights it everywhere. So give yourself time and space, permission to be yourself, and to the naysayers, to the people that do focus on the negative and the negative only, they're just opportunistic, right? You're going to be fine. Prove them wrong. Do what I did when I think a big part of the reason that I went so far in school was not because I needed it, but because I was like, you know what? I absolutely can do this. So you can prove people wrong and you can actually better your life in the process. But I would go back in time and space and just say, you don't have to do it if you don't want to, or you can do something completely different. Because I probably would have chosen some different connections and things like that. So I would have taken a gap year. I would have done a lot of different things. So grow into your leadership, grow into your heart, grow into your maturity. But the universe already sees you as the King of Cups, which is very lovable, which is very capable, which is very cool. So you're going to be fine, but you're just being pushed into something a little faster. A lot of times this happens with the loss of someone, with just a time-specific deadline that you have to step into, but you'll figure it out and you'll grow. And that's what the rose has been teaching us today. It's basically the reason you have to prune it is it can grow and choke itself out too. So we're seeing growth and abundance all over the spread today. You're going to be fine. That's the sun sign message. Just be easy on yourself. And yes, if you're looking for love, love could be coming through. But again, there could be this feeling it's almost like he's saying, who, me? Me? Yes, you. It's kind of like at the end of, I was thinking of, was it Pretty in Pink, where her best friend's like, what? Someone's looking at him. So yeah, it's you. All right, so let's move on from sun to rising sign. So the rising shows up in work, in environment. It's your projection to the world. It's not always your true self, but it is how you're being perceived. It's looking pretty good. Temperance is great. The interesting thing with this is, I feel like many of you have done a lot of deep work. We're looking at the well there, and I don't think people are aware at how deep the well goes. Thinking also of maybe the metaphor of an iceberg. They're only seeing the top portion. So your challenge, your opportunity this month is to show more levels of depth. And you can only benefit by letting people see more facets of who you are. And so that's my advice is, I guess some of you might be afraid of being vulnerable and putting that out there, but I can only see positives with showing people what more you have to offer. If somebody isn't willing to let you go into the well of knowledge or inspiration or whatever, then again, that is your signal that there might be a better connection out there for you. But it's good. Temperance is great. We take the well, we take the roses out of it. Temperance is an angelic card showing 1 foot in, 1 foot out. It's showing me that you're moving in the right direction. I might like to see a little bit more commitment whenever I pull temperance. So I would say I love your patience, I love your kindness. I also think at some point, don't be afraid to just go for it. It's almost too cautious. So if you're really trying to make a splash, you got to put both feet in, you got to dive in. All right? That's my message there. Let's move on to the moon. And with moon messages this month, we have the Page of Wands. Movement. I really like that this page shows movement. A lot of times that's reserved for nights, but here we see the train coming in. And what I see for you is a connection. This is super exciting for Sagittarius moon. What this means is there could be someone coming into your life. This is the most love-oriented card that I've pulled so far. They may be from a different background, from a different part of the world. They may have wildly different beliefs or whatever, but there's something fun. There's something cool and complementary about this energy. And all you need to do is be present and be open. Connecting trains, connecting flights, we do have to show up. So get out there in the world, put yourself out there a little bit, and pay attention to who's getting off at that stop. So being very aware of what's going on around you, not looking at your phone all the time when you're walking the dog or going to the train or getting on the plane. Nowadays, we're so focused on these devices. They're great. I was talking to a friend about like if you were going out to meet somebody like on a first date, or if you were just going out maybe to try to meet somebody. I remember like you would have to maybe bring a book or a newspaper or a magazine so that you weren't just sitting there alone looking sad. Nowadays we can just have our phone. But the thing is, the phone becomes so all-encompassing that we never look up. So I feel like there is a lot of opportunities around you, and it's just about opening up and looking around. Literally, lots of doors are opening. It's like the movie Sliding Doors, which I haven't seen in ages. But we get to see what happens in her life if she makes a couple different decisions. And it's really cool to sort of see how if you're just awake or if you just make one different decision or turn your direction towards that, something could shift. So I feel like you have a happy meeting, I don't believe in serendipity, I believe in synchronicity. So there's a synchronicity that is ready, a meeting that you may think is chance, but it's not. So there's a choice meeting that wants to happen, but you have to be present, you have to be ready. I'm looking at the smoke, and it comes across almost like a lantern. The lantern would be in the hermit, of course, so coming out of your shell, definitely coming through on that, okay? All right, someone's asking about sun, rising, and moon. There's a lot of free tools out there, I think, Cafe Astrology or whatever. There's a bunch out there, so you can look it up for free online, and they'll calculate that for you. You just need to know your birth day, your birth time, and the city in which you were born. And you can approximate some of this if you don't have it. But all right, let's move on now to the last part of this reading, which is going to be the meditation. Before we go there, please hit the subscribe button. Like I said, I'm going to be experimenting with a lot of new stuff on this channel over the next month because I'm in a new environment, because I like to see growth and change on the channel. So don't miss out. Subscribe. And the sooner I hit the 325, the sooner I will do the Q&A video. Join me on social so you get reminders and so you see other facets of my life as well. Keep an eye out for imposters. I don't use direct messages. I don't offer private readings. Anyone that says that they do, they're not me. And if you'd like to show love and support, you can do that. All right, for the meditation today. By the way, we're going to do a final question at the end. So if you have one thing that I haven't answered yet, scribble it down, keep it in your head, whatever, and we'll look at it in about 2 to 3 minutes. First things first, we're going to meditate. And I'd like to use the dual sort of energy of the rose, which came through time and again. I mean, it was in almost every card. And then I like the energy of the bees as well. So imagine that you're the bee kind of going to this rose bush. So I want you to imagine, just close your eyes for a second. Take a deep breath, tune into your body, let go of any pressure, tension, or thoughts that you might be holding on to. Exhale, let it go. See yourself in the totem or the energy of a bee, the ability now to rise high above the earth, fly in any direction that you would like, take a chance to sort of sip the nectar of all these different flowers and find your way to a beautiful red rose. And I want you just to sit for a second on the rose petals and exist in that energy of love, of calming, smell the sweet smell of the rose. And in this moment in time, look at this is a very large bush. You can see that it may be something like 10 feet tall. And there's all of these, it's kind of one of those climbing roses too. So it's winding around this trellis, it's reaching really tall into the sky. And you see with this how the energy of perseverance and continuing to reach is powerful, is something that you can kind of absorb as you're kind of with the nectar and the pollen here. You're absorbing the energy of this, which is saying, I am strong, I am perseverant, I am capable. I'm also capable of protecting myself, and I'm not afraid to do so when appropriate. I can create boundaries if I need to. I want you to drink in all of these energies and all of these messages and take your time and go from flower to flower to flower and connect with this feeling now that you are also abundant. You are also able to take something and bring it to the next level. So this divine feminine energy is flowing through you as you become the bee and you pollinate and you spend time with the roses, with the clover blossoms, with all the flowers that you like, and just enjoy that energy of drinking in and receiving. And if you want to just keep it simple, you can imagine that you are sitting there in the sunlight, drinking it in and saying, I'm ready to receive love, abundance, and opportunity in the highest forms. Sit back and relax. I'm going to play the singing bowl, and then we'll take a look at the final card. Remembering to continue to breathe as well. With each breath, seeing your energy grow stronger and feeling more and more energy and insight coming in. And feeling more and more energy and insight coming in. And feeling more and more energy and insight coming in. And feeling more and more energy and insight coming in. And feeling more and more energy and insight coming in. And feeling more and more energy and insight coming in. And feeling more and more energy and insight coming in. And feeling more and more energy and insight coming in. And feeling more and more energy and insight coming in. And feeling more and more energy and insight coming in. And feeling more and more energy and insight coming in. And feeling more and more energy and insight coming in. And feeling more and more energy and insight coming in. And feeling more and more energy and insight coming in. And feeling more and more energy and insight coming in. And feeling more and more energy and insight coming in. And feeling more and more energy and insight coming in. And feeling more and more energy and insight coming in. And feeling more and more energy and insight coming in. And feeling more and more energy and insight coming in. And feeling more and more energy and insight coming in. And feeling more and more energy and insight coming in. And feeling more and more energy and in Take a nice deep breath. See yourself also finding the perfect balance as a bee kind of goes back and forth from the hive to the flowers. You're going to find a way to carry energy between your life, between work, between social gatherings, and find that perfect balance without losing yourself, without losing your focus. On the next natural exhale, open your eyes and focus on the question that you have for me. Let's take a look at the cards and see what the answer is to that question. Six of Swords. It's a great energy to come through here. So the card is reversed, but interestingly enough, we see the well here. He's learned what he needs to learn and he's ready to move on. We have the card in reverse, which for many of you is saying that timelines are speeding up a little bit. So there could be a need to act quickly or quicker than expected, and the movement will also follow suit. So if there was that feeling, as we saw earlier, like we saw with the bat, where it's like, how long do I have to wait? Shorter than you think. When the action and the activity starts to happen, you'll actually be at that point where you're feeling like, how do I catch up? So as a yes, no, the Six of Swords is, it's already been decided. It's possibly overdue. It's a yes. It's yes, it's time to move on. Yes, it's time to take the next step. And yes, I see a lot of movement. Movement is a key component to it. Some of you need to let something go. So if you're asking, should I stay or should I go? It's a go. And if you're wondering why, or like, should you release something? It's yes, you should release something. Because it's already played its part and you're already 2 or 3 feet into the next direction. So allow yourself to move where you need to move and go where you need to go, because exciting things await you. There are 3 or 4 different death cards. The Four of Swords and the Six of Swords are a couple of them, and the Six of Swords is an active change. So the minute you decide to pick up and move, great things start to happen. So it's like Four of Swords, Six of Swords, the Fool, death, the world, and judgment. All of these are movement and change. Transformation not transformation, but the Tower. There's a lot of different things that shake up your life, and I feel like it's time for you to make that kind of movement or shift happen. Some of you are just finding peace. The Six of Swords can also show that you've already gotten to the other side of that river or lake, and you're like, all right, I'm ready to move on to the next big thing. So it's a good card overall, but it's definitely about making peace with the past, releasing some of that energy from the past and focusing on the future, which is very much in alignment with the channeled messages earlier. All right, everyone. One last thing here. Six of Swords can be letting someone or something go from the past, and it could be a loss of some sort, but I see something positive on the horizon. Just a necessary shift. As I'm talking about this, I'm actually getting solar plexus activation, so there could be a little bit of a power struggle between you and someone, so when you let that go, you'll reclaim your power as well. Okay, that, my friends, is everything for today. We're going to quickly take a look here at those who gave back a little bit and say thanks. One last time, please do like and subscribe. It helps people find this, and if you enjoyed the video, comment below and share it. Part of the reason that I'm going to be doing some shorter videos as well is because not everyone has attention span for the longer ones, but this is sort of like it's easy for me to kind of sit here and have a chat with you guys. So let's still bubble this up a little bit, and your engagement matters. So if there's no engagement, YouTube doesn't recommend it. If there's engagement, then it recommends it. Okay, let's say thanks here for everybody that showed up and showed a little bit of love here. So I'm going to start first with members, and then I'll acknowledge anyone that gave a super sticker or super chat today. So for the members, I think there were 2 when I came in. Leslie Annette, thank you so much. Brand new member, good to have you here. And then, let's see, it looks like Garima1. Thank you so much for 20 months of membership and for rejoining. And I know that I thanked Brynhilde yesterday, but thank you very much. Kiki, Jenny Hart, LL, all of those from the last day or so, thank you so much for joining or rejoining. All right, now for super stickers and super chat. Let's take a look here at who participated today. So for Sagittarius, kicking things off today, Isha Marie, thank you very much. Yoga Rising, appreciate you. Olive Arias, thank you. Myra Rodriguez, Andrea, I'm just going to say Andrea G, thank you so much, or Andrea. Sherry Wolf, Isha Marie again, thank you. Todd S, Cindy S. Kristen, thank you for the 50. That is so thoughtful. I appreciate it. Deep Insight and Tam Bitewood, I think it is. Thank you very much. Hopefully I caught everyone. Let me make sure I didn't miss anyone. Yep, got everyone. Thank you so much. And like I said, we got some new fun stuff to come. Apollo is now so chilled out. And, oh, you can't even see him, but he's laying down basically on the floor saying, I'm over this, Dad, but I'm going to take him for another walk. Let's see. I will be live this weekend. I'm always live every Sunday, so please tune in for that. I think I'm going to do something new maybe on Monday or Tuesday. We'll see. Or maybe I'll do it on Saturday. But I'm going to try to do a 7-minute video for the week ahead, like the 7 things, everything you need in 7 minutes. I'm going to try to keep it short and concise and make it a toolkit. So I'm going to try to decide what I want to see in that and how it's going to differ from the other stuff that I do. So that's something new that's going to come over the next week. I was going to quickly look at what's coming up for future videos just so I can kind of let you know what Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday looks like, because I know I have a bonus reading coming up next week, I believe, to fill things out here. So yes, so next week we have, obviously on Sunday, the weekly collective. Then I'm going to do Capricorn on Monday, a bonus reading on Thursday, and on Friday it will be Aquarius, then another collective the following weekend, and then Pisces the Monday after. So keep an eye out for that schedule. But like I said, I'm going to pepper in some new stuff. All right. That's all for now, guys. Have a great day. Lots of love and light to you. Thank you for making this a beautiful reading and for sharing your time with me. I appreciate it. All right, everyone. See you soon. Bye-bye.